Hello, I'm Dr. Wolfelt, and I'm honored to serve as the director of the Center for Loss and Life Transition, which is located in Fort Collins, Colorado. For a number of years now, I've had the privilege of having an ongoing relationship, a sponsorship for McInnis and Holloway in the Calgary area. And it's an honor that they've asked me to provide you with the following information related to holiday grief. As you probably well know, holidays are often naturally difficult for anyone that has experienced the death of someone precious. Without doubt, this is particularly true this year in the face of the challenges of COVID-19. Obviously, things are much different than years past. We have had a number of additional challenges, such as the inability to be with people when they've made their final transition. We've had an overwhelming number of deaths. We've had compromises in the funeral rituals that we often look to help us know what to do when we don't know what to do. We've experienced the likelihood of being apart from the people we would normally talk to, hug, hold close during times of loss and life transition. And of course, we're all trying to cope with the many unknowns that lie ahead. We realize that even under normal circumstances, holidays can bring feelings of sadness and loss. Yes, I'm always reminded that it's our capacity to love that requires our necessity to mourn. Well, as the Grinch learned that memorable Christmas, the holidays don't really come from a store. They come from the heart and the soul. While no simple guidelines exist that will take away the sense of loss that you're experiencing, I sincerely hope that the following suggestions will help you survive and still embrace hope during this very unique and very challenging time. Well, first and foremost, allow your grief to become mourning. Grief is what we experience on the inside, our thoughts and feelings internally. Whereas in contrast, mourning is grief gone public, or I often refer to it as the shared response to loss. Through no one's fault, many people think that grief and mourning are the same thing. But I ask you to anchor in your heart and your soul that grief is inside, mourning is outside. During the holiday season, don't be afraid to express your feelings of grief from the inside to the outside. Very, very important to remember that critical distinction, because many people are at risk for grieving and not mourning. Ignoring your grief won't make it go away. Authentic mourning is what allows us to integrate our grief into our lives, while still realizing we're changed forever by the death of someone loved. Remind yourself to be tolerant of your physical, your emotional, your spiritual limits. Feelings of loss commonly leave us feeling fatigued. As a matter of fact, it's so common we call it the lethargy of grief. Your low energy will probably naturally slow you down, so you want to respect what your body, your mind, your spirit are telling you. Work to lower your expectations about being at your best during the holiday season. And keep in mind, the word bereavement literally means that you've been torn apart and that you have some very special needs. I think you'll also be well served to eliminate any unnecessary stress that you possibly can. I know that's not entirely possible, but this isn't a time to overextend yourself in any way. Avoid isolating yourself while also being sure to recognize the need to have some special time that's just for you. I'd also suggest you avoid thinking that you should keep busy to distract yourself from your grief. One of the most common things that people are told when we have losses in our life is, well, you need to keep real busy. I couldn't disagree more. The reality is that keeping too busy actually increases your stress and postpones how your grief will naturally and organically become mourning. Now's the time to surround yourself with people who provide you support and comfort. Identify those family and friends that understand that the holiday season naturally increases your sense of loss and sadness. Find those persons who allow you to be yourself and accept any and all of your feelings, both happy and, of course, sad. Even if you cannot be together in person this year, remember you can always make use of video calls, phone calls, emails, and if you text, use that as an avenue. The important thing is to make sure you stay in touch with the people you love and that love you. It's critically important to remember to talk about the person who's died during the holiday season. We're all thinking about that person, And if we don't do that, we experience what we formally call mutual pretense. I know it and you know it, but let's not bring it up. And then it's like having an elephant in the middle of your living room. So when appropriate, include the person's name in your conversations. If you're able to talk openly and honestly, other people are more likely to recognize your need to be able to acknowledge a death and to remember the life. Also, keep in mind that sometimes well-meaning friends and family members may try to prescribe what is good for you to be doing during the holidays. However, I want you to do what is right for you during this time of year. I suggest you discuss your wishes and plans with either a caring friend or a trusted family member. Talking about what you think is best for you will help clarify what you want to do during the holidays. And as you become more aware of your needs, you can then share them with your family and with your friends. It's also wise to plan ahead for any family gatherings while acknowledging that this year they may be influenced by the restrictions that are secondary to COVID-19. Decide which family traditions that you plan to continue and which ones you may want to make some changes in. Structure your holiday time. This will help you anticipate activities rather than just reacting to whatever happens. Whatever plans you do end up making and carrying out, build in the importance of staying, of course, as safe as possible. One of the most important ways in which we as humans help ourselves during the holidays is to find ways to befriend or embrace memories. Memories are one of the best legacies that exist after someone has died, and holidays naturally make us think about times past. Instead of ignoring those memories, I suggest you share them with your friends and your family. Keep in mind that memories are tinged, of course, with both happiness and sadness. If your memories bring laughter, then smile. If your memories bring sadness, then it's of course okay to cry. And sometimes we know that holidays bring sappiness, a term I often use to say that you're sad, but at the same time, you're happy. Memories made of love can never and should never be taken away from you. Be sure to build in time to renew your resources for living. Spend some time thinking about the meaning and the purpose of your life and those that you love and are available to you. The death of someone loved creates opportunities to take inventory of our own life, our past, our present, and of course our future. The culmination of the holiday and the loss, that combination coming together, that holiday and the loss, naturally results in turning inward and exploring the meaning of both life and death. Make use of this time to have gratitude for the positive things in life that in fact do surround you. Yes, it's a time to still befriend gratitude, despite the fact that it's normal to feel the sadness that someone can't be physically present to you. Of course, this is also a time of year to consider making use of ceremony. I often, of course, say when words are inadequate, have ceremony. While we normally have group ceremonies to attend during holidays, many of you are living in areas where restrictions secondary to COVID-19 may well prevent large gatherings from taking place. So this year, you may find it helpful to create your own personal ceremonies or include people that you are able to be with. Perhaps you can plan to visit the cemetery. Maybe you can spend time doing something that you know would be meaningful to the person in your life that's died. As I'm sure you probably know, ceremony is a powerful way to honor those that go before us as we hold their memories close to our heart. Yes, again, when words are inadequate, have ceremony, because ceremony helps us know what to do when at times we do not know what to do. If appropriate for you, find ways to express your faith, your spirituality, your philosophy of life. Stay in touch with family and friends who understand and accept your need to express or perhaps even question some of your historical beliefs. Death has a way of inviting us to explore our belief systems, to search for meaning and what brings meaning and purpose in our lives, in our living, in our loving. You may find it comfortable as the holidays approach to keep some of the physical objects of the person who died close to you. We refer to those, of course, as linking objects, things that connect us to those that go before us, that can help us remember the person who died, can help us feel closer to them and give honor to the life that was lived. Things like pictures, clothing, jewelry, other personal items can bring you comfort that you both need and that you deserve. Let's take a moment to acknowledge how we can be at risk for grief bursts during this time of the year. That's when you experience a heightened sense of loss and sadness. It's often tied to sensory experiences, such as seeing something or hearing something or smelling something. The holidays especially can be full of sights and sounds and smells that can bring forth the memory of the person who's died. I invite you to allow yourself to experience your grief bursts. Don't push them away. Don't feel a sense of shame. Don't judge yourself. I like to think of grief bursts as ways that those who go before us are often saying, "Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me." As you allow yourself to embrace the normal sadness that often accompanies the holiday season, you'll also want to be sure to embrace hope. My personal favorite definition of hope is that it's an expectation of a good that's yet to be. It's a belief that you can and that you will survive and come out of the dark and into the light. You can and will create hope by actively mourning the death. Again, spend time in the company of people who support you and that can create divine momentum that allows you to embrace your hope for your healing, to become whole again. Yes, bereavement means, I remind you, to be torn apart, but if you do actively and authentically allow yourself to mourn that shared response to loss, you can and you will heal. I'd also like to remind you that the death of someone precious, it demands our attention. And that's as it should be. Remember, to have special needs of grief it's not selfish, it's not self-indulgent. Actually, self-care during this special time of year, it fortifies you for your ongoing ebbs and flows of your journey into grief. A journey that leaves you profoundly impacted and deeply changed. Right now, it's important to give attention to your needs without any sense of needing to apologize. Above all, self-nurturing is about self-acceptance. When you embrace the reality that self-care begins with yourself, you no longer think of those around you as being responsible for your well-being. Healthy self-care during the holiday season frees you to mourn in ways that help you gently, with no specific timetable, integrate life losses into the fabric of your being, into your heart, into your soul. Ultimately, your self-compassion will also help you be receptive to the love and the concern of others. Not all, but some very caring people do realize that you have some very special needs during this time of year. Allowing yourself to feel this love will provide the hope that you can and you will renew your spirit. The grief we feel during the holidays, it's a very wise teacher. Grief teaches us that feelings of sadness and loss, they aren't enemies to be fought. In fact, they're friends to be understood. Grief teaches us that loving and caring for others are our most important needs here on earth. Grief teaches us to simplify our lives, to let people know each and every day how much they mean to us, how much we love them. As you continue to allow yourself to mourn, you can look forward to the days that will come when your grief won't seem so raw, so overwhelming. Your painful feelings of loss, they'll soften. They'll slowly be overtaken by warm thoughts and memories of holiday time spent with those that have gone before you. In the meantime, don't let anyone take your grief away from you. Love yourself. Please be patient with yourself. Mourn well, live well, and love well. Again, I want to thank my friends at McInnis and Holloway that I've had the privilege of working with over the last 20, 30 years, where I have the opportunity to come up to the Calgary area and attempt to touch lives, both with the general public programs we've done over the years, as well as their dedication to enhancing the body of knowledge and skills of area caregivers, whether that's social workers, counselors, clergy, nurses. I've had the privilege of meeting many of you up there over the years. It's always an honor to come and try to touch your life. And I hope this message that I've given you now as the holidays approach has been helpful to you. Thank you very much.